Namaskar students, welcome back. Today in continuation with the chapter life processes, as you know that this chapter is very lengthy and it will take time to complete. We have uh, different types of topics and different life processes in our body. That is why I am discussing one by one each and every topic so that you can understand in a better way. Okay, so today our topic is transportation in humans, and my previous topic was transportation in plants. So, as I told you that what is transportation, why plants require transportation system. Now, here is the same case only that we people, that the human beings or the animals, they also need food, oxygen, and water so that they can survive. So these are the elements which are necessary in our body, and they have to be delivered into our body so that our body parts can function properly. That is why all living organisms, they need a transport system in their bodies. So today we will study about human circulatory system, and it is a transport system of the human body which consists of a network which supplies food, water, oxygen and other substances throughout the body. Now, in this, the main parts of the circulatory system are blood, blood vessels, and heart. For blood vessels, I will give you a table in the notes in which you can compare all the blood vessels, that is arteries, veins, and capillaries. Okay, and with starting with the blood, that it is responsible to transport food, oxygen, and waste materials in human bodies. As you know that you are familiar with blood, that what it is, that it is a red color fluid which flows in our body through the blood vessels. And in the first point, it is clear that it acts as the medium of transportation of the essential substances throughout our bodies, such as food, oxygen, and waste materials. Now, blood has three main four components, that is the blood plasma, erythrocytes, red blood cells, leukocytes, white blood cells, and thrombocytes, blood platelets. When we talk about blood plasma, that it is written in the third point also, that it is responsible to transport food, carbon dioxide, and nitrogenous waste in dissolved form. Okay, now almost 55% of the blood is blood plasma. And next is the erythrocyte, that is red blood cells. Oxygen, next in the next point only, fourth point, it is written that oxygen is carried by the red blood cells. Now these red blood cells are present in ample amount in the blood, that is 40 to 45%, and they are red in color because they contain a special pigment that is called as hemoglobin, which you are well familiar of this term hemoglobin, and you have read in previous classes also, because the oxygen which we take in, it binds with the hemoglobin only, and hence it reaches every cell of the body through the blood. Next is the white blood cells, that is leukocytes. They are almost 1% in our body, but these cells, they fight against the germs which are present in the body. Last is the thrombocytes, that is blood platelets. These help in the formation of blood clot, and they prevent the blood from flowing out of the body due to an injury or any wound or cut is there here, that at that times after some time you say that see that the blood, it stops coming out. It is only due to the platelets that they form a blood clot at that point, at the point of injury or any wound. Then is the blood vessels. These are the arteries, veins, and capillaries. Okay. Now next is the human heart. When we talk about human heart, so first of all, starting that it is an organ which is present in our body which pumps the blood in the blood vessels, and it is located in the chest cavity. Okay, when we come to its diagram, you can see its diagram, that first of all, when we look at its diagram, that it is, the heart is divided into four chambers. Okay, the upper two chambers are the atria, which contain the blood with no oxygen, and the ventricles are the lower chambers of the heart which contains the oxygen rich blood. You can see the left ventricle, left atrium, you can see the right atrium and right ventricle. You can see that the color demarcation is also there, that with the, you can see little orange color, that is the left atrium and left ventricle, and light blue color, that is the right atrium and right ventricle. Okay, what happens here, that the atria and ventricles, they are divided within themselves into two chambers with the help of the valves, bicuspid valve and tricuspid valve. From the left ventricle, the biggest artery of our body called the aorta begins. You can see here the aorta. It is on the top. Okay. Then you can see that the right atrium of the body, it receives the deoxygenated blood from the body through vein that is called as vena cava, and vena cava is the largest vein of our body. The point is to be noted. The biggest artery of our body is aorta, and the biggest largest vein of our body is vena cava. Vena cava and aorta. One more question can be asked from here also, that name the biggest artery of our body, name the largest vein of our body. You must know these two also. So what happens that if I just give you in short about this according to the diagram, that what happens that from the lung tissue, through the pulmonary vein, the blood goes to left atrium, then through the bicuspid valve it goes to left ventricle, then it goes to aorta, and then what happens, from the aorta it goes to body tissues, then from the superior and inferior vena cava it goes to right atrium, and then through the tricuspid valve it goes to left ventricle, and then through the pulmonary arteries again it goes to lungs. Now we will discuss it in detail, that the oxygen rich blood from the lungs comes to the thin walled upper chamber of the heart on the left, that is the left atrium. I have shown you in the image also. When it is collecting the blood, the left atrium relaxes. However, while the next chamber, that is the left ventricle, it will expand, and then it contracts. Left atrium will contract so that the blood is transferred to it. Contraction and relaxation occurs. Further, when the muscular left ventricle contracts, the blood is pumped out to the body. And likewise, deoxygenated blood comes from the body to the upper chamber on the right atrium as it expands. When the right atrium contracts, the corresponding lower chamber, corresponding lower chamber will be right ventricle. It dilates, and this egg transfers blood to the right ventricle, which in turn pumps it to the lungs for oxygenation. When the right atrium contracts, the lower chamber, that is the right ventricle, it dilates and it transfers the blood to the right ventricle, which in turn pumps it to the lungs for oxygenation. These 2 points we will learn, that when the right atrium contracts, the right ventricle dilates, and then the blood is pumped to the lungs for oxygenation. And when the right atrium contracts, the right ventricle dilates, and this transfers the blood to the right ventricle, which in turn pumps it to the lungs for oxygenation. Now, next question also arises, that the ventricles, they have thicker muscular walls, as ventricles have to pump blood into various organs. These are the valves that ensures that the blood does not flow backward when the atria or ventricles contract. So, what is the function of valves? It is clear from here only. Now, the separation of the right side and the left side of the heart is beneficial also. Why it is left and right part is there? Because it avoids oxygenated and deoxygenated blood from mixing. That is called as a septum. The animals which do not use energy to maintain their body temperature depends on the temperature in the environment, and such animals have three-chambered hearts, that is, for example, amphibians or many reptiles, and they bear some mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood streams. We people, humans, we cannot bear this mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, but the three-chambered heart, the animals which have three-chambered heart, they can bear the mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Fishes, spices, they have two-chambered hearts, so the blood is pumped to the gills and get oxygenated there only, and then it passes directly to the rest of the body. So we have learnt about the human circulatory system. Now we have learnt about the three-chambered heart, animals which have three-chambered heart, animals which have two-chambered heart, how circulation takes place there also. One more topic important is that double circulation takes place in human beings, that I'll discuss also later. First of all, there is a yellow box in your NCERT book in which blood pressure topic is given. I'll discuss that. After that, I'll discuss about double circulation. So, what is blood pressure? You people are very well familiar of this term blood pressure. The force that blood exerts against the wall of the vessel is known as blood pressure. Blood always flows with the pressure. The blood pressure is much greater in arteries than in veins. So during the ventricular systole, that is a contraction, the pressure of blood inside the artery is known as systolic pressure. And on the other hand, the pressure in artery during ventricular diastole, that is at the time of relaxation, it is known as diastolic pressure. So what is the difference between systolic and diastolic pressure? It is given here only. The normal measurement of systolic pressure is about 120 millimeter of mercury level, and diastolic pressure is 80 millimeter of mercury level. Increase of this pressure is known as high blood pressure, that is high BP or high tension. And the instrument that measures the blood pressure is known as sphygmomanometer. So many times this question have come in board exams also. Name the instrument that helps in measuring the blood pressure, and that instrument is known as the sphygmomanometer. Okay, so what is systolic, what is blood pressure, what is systolic pressure, what is diastolic pressure, what is hypertension, and what is sphygmomanometer? These all I have discussed here only. Now we have learnt about blood. One more term is there, that is lymph is also there. So what is lymph? Some amount of plasma, proteins and blood cells, they escape into the intercellular spaces in the tissues. How these escape into the intercellular spaces in the tissue? They escape through the pores which are present in the walls of the capillaries. They come out and they just collected into the intercellular spaces in the tissue, and there they form the tissue fluid which is called as the lymph. It is yellowish in color. Okay, if the question arises what is the difference between blood and lymph, that blood it is red in color, whereas lymph is yellowish in color. Though lymph is similar to the plasma of the blood, but it is colorless and contains less proteins as compared to plasma. So what is the important function of lymph? The important function of lymph is to carry the digested and absorbed fat from intestine, and it also, first function is to carry the digested and absorbed fat from intestine. Second function is to drain excess fluid from the extracellular space back into the blood. So these are the important functions of the lymph. These are the important functions of the lymph. Next is the double circulation in human beings, that I will discuss now. This is also very important, double circulation in human beings. This is the diagram of double circulation in human beings. You can see lungs there in the upper. Then you can see pulmonary vein, pulmonary artery. That is called as a pulmonary circulation. Second circulation is the systemic circulation. That is left atrium, left ventricle, right ventricle, vena cava, and the blood tissues aorta. So this is the diagram you can see of the double circulation. Now I will discuss that the double circulation in humans, why is it necessary? As you know that the heart receives the deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body. What happens? That the heart, it receives a deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body, and it pumps this blood to the lungs. So why it goes to the lungs? Because lungs, it is rich in oxygen. So what happens? The oxygen, the blood there goes, and that blood it binds with the oxygen in the lungs, and then from the lungs the oxygenated blood return back to the heart, which is pumped again into different parts of the body by the heart. So what happens? That from the different parts of the body, the heart is receiving deoxygenated blood, and then it passes into the lungs, from where it gets the oxygen from the lungs. Then that deoxygenated becomes oxygenated, and then that oxygenated blood from the lungs returns to the heart, which is again pumped into different parts of the body by the heart. So the blood is passing twice through the heart, and it makes one complete round through the body, and that is called as the double circulation. Okay, double circulation. Once the deoxygenated blood is coming to the heart, okay, and then the oxygenated blood is coming to the heart. So two circulations are there now at the same time. So that is the double circulation. So what type of circulations are there? One is pulmonary, and second one is the systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation, it pertains to lungs only. The blood flows from the right ventricle to the lungs. Pulmonary veins, they collect oxygenated blood from the lungs and carry it back to the heart. The systemic circulation, it pertains to the major circulation of the body. The aorta, it receives the blood from left ventricle and sends it to the various parts of the body. And the veins, they collect the deoxygenated blood from body parts and pour it back into the right auricle. So this is the pulmonary and systemic circulation. So pulmonary circulation, it pertains to lungs, and systemic circulation, it pertains to the major circulation of the body. It means it is related to the major circulation of the body. So this all is about the double circulation in human beings. So this all is about the transportation. In the next topic, with this our transportation is completed. In the next video, I will just upload and tell you about the explanation of the excretory system in human beings as well as in plants. In one video only, I will discuss the both in plants and animals, because in plants it is not much complex. Okay, so with this, that's all. Please read it out, which I have given you, which I have explained you, and always hear the video, see the video twice. Okay, thank you.